the rare opportunity of a singles match at WrestleMania, and not just any singles match, a match for the Raw Women's Championship. How do you feel about this opportunity?
I'm over the moon. I mean, I can't even think of the last time women have had a singles match for the title on the WrestleMania card. Obviously, you can think back of Trish and Mickey, but I'm just sitting here going, this is crazy. We have 2 women's singles matches for the title on the WrestleMania card. I mean, I'm blown away. Plus, we have a mixed match on the card as well. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, this is the first WrestleMania with multiple singles women's matches since WrestleMania 22. And
there we go. See, you knew it.
Yeah, and one of those is the Playboy pillow fight. So
the Playboy pillow fight. Yeah.
So it kind of shows the shift in thinking, thanks to women's evolution.
Yes. It's amazing, and I'm honored and beyond blessed to be a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're going into this match with Alexa Bliss, and the storyline that has been built up, has been framed around is her, the insults she's been throwing towards you and body shaming you. How do you feel about being involved in this kind of a storyline? And do you think it's important that WWE tackle, real life issues like this?
I think it's amazing. I think it's something that, people know, but they don't want to talk about it. They always want to keep it hidden. And I feel like we're tackling this head on, and it should be. Young women and young girls and boys should actually be hearing this and seeing the conflict, that we go through, and then seeing somebody stand up for themselves and not have to allow somebody to bully them because of the way they look and what their shape and their color of the skin. You should always stand up for yourself. So I think it's amazing. I'm very honored to be a part of it.
Yeah. Have you ever encountered bullying of this nature before?
Oh yeah. Growing up, it's crazy how real this storyline is to my life. And especially with Alexa being being such a close best friend of mine for so long, she has seen it, and she has heard me. I've confided in her in a lot of these stories that have happened to me. So it surprises me that it's become such a big storyline on the WWE because it relates to me completely. So, growing up, I was made fun of for always being bigger, and I distinctly remember, at one of my junior high basketball games, a grown man was making fun of me and my size as I was playing basketball, and they didn't realize that my Samoan father was in the audience, and he beat the crap out of him, but that's a whole nother story. But yeah, that's something I've dealt with my whole life. People making fun of me and my size. Everything from having a huge forehead to the size of my feet, and not being able to wear the same size as my friends. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously that's become one of your greatest strengths. There's nobody quite with your physical attributes in the women's division. I wish you all the best luck at WrestleMania. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Neil. We're going to move over to Vincente at Mundo Deportivo.
Vincente.
Oh, Nia.
Hello, what's up?
Hi. This year's WrestleMania will be a long show, once again, full of great matchups, but there's got to be a kickoff show. How will you feel if they tell you that you need to wrestle for the Raw Women's Championship in the kickoff show?
That's obviously not the ideal position that you'd want to be in, but to be fair, our show is watched all over the world by millions of people, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people will still catch us on the pre-show. So it's an honor to be on the card, period. But I definitely feel as though the women have earned a spot on the actual main card. So I don't think that'll be happening this year.
What are your thoughts on the women's evolution and And apart from the main event in WrestleMania, what else do you want to accomplish?
I guess as like any other athlete, you just want to be looked at like as equal to your counterpart. So I think for the women, we just want to be looked at as equal, period. So main eventing WrestleMania, main eventing live event house shows that we have, doing any other match that a man can do. I feel like we just want to be looked at as equal, period, not any different.
And most likely after WrestleMania, we will have another superstar shakeup. Would you be surprised if they draft Nia Jax to SmackDown Live? And what do you think of the talents over there?
I would not be surprised at all. I think SmackDown is full of talented people. It's, I personally enjoy watching that show. There's a lot of superstars, female superstars on that side that I would love to work with. So it'd be great to go over there and switch it up. I wouldn't mind it at all.
Finally, talking about title matches at WrestleMania, your family knows perfectly what it's all about. Did you ask The Rock for any advice?
No, I haven't asked him for any advice. He, when he heard that I had the WrestleMania match, he instantly, he was congratulating me. He was so proud of me, and that's all I ever ask of him is, hoping that whatever I do, he's proud of.
Thank you so much, and good luck at WrestleMania. Thank you, Nia.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks. We'll move over to Axel.
Hi, Nia. Here, Axel for WFF.
Hi, Axel.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Fine. First, you will face Alexa Bliss at WrestleMania in 2 weeks. How you feel about that?
Yeah.
Is it something special to face your best friend in a championship match at WrestleMania?
Yes, I mean, it's obviously quite a dream come true, but I guess I wouldn't say it would be that great because of the circumstances of what we're going into, like with, how she's turned her back on me and used a lot of the things that I've trusted her with against me. But at the end of the day, we still get to go to the biggest show, of them all, and, battle out our differences in front of millions of people for the title. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how that goes.
At WrestleMania, you can become the World Women's Champion. Are you ready for that? You can become the woman number 1 at Raw. Is it something that scares you?
No, I'm definitely not scared. I think it would be something good to see, it'd be something good that, young girls and boys can look up and see somebody who's very different, holding that honor of being the Raw Women's Champion, holding that exclusive title that we all strive to get. So I think I'm not scared of it at all. I'm definitely ready.
Great. What do you think of the beginnings of Ronda Rousey at the WWE?
Like how she's doing? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I would just go with her coming over to WWE, and then if you want to go into how you think she's doing so far.
Oh, I think she's doing great. I think, I've said it before, I welcome anybody to this business who think they can do what we do. Over 300 days a year on the road, away from our family, working our butts off tirelessly without any sleep, and to come in front of, the millions and millions of fans that we have around the world, I welcome it. And so far, she is a huge star, and so her coming here is amazing, and she seems to be holding her own.
Okay, my last question. Who inspired you to become a female superstar? Is there a former superstar which inspired you?
Actually, there's quite a few female stars. Bull Nakano, I've always said that she's like one of my favorites. But growing up, I watched a lot of and I still watch to this day, go back and watch is Bam Bam Bigelow. He was one of my favorite wrestlers growing up, and still to this day, watching him, I just get goosebumps because he was just such a talented big man. You know, he worked like he was 100 pounds, but you know, he was this big, huge man, and he was amazing. So he's definitely one of my favorites.
Interesting. Thanks for your time, Nia, and good luck for your match at WrestleMania.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thanks. We'll move over to Christian in Germany.
Hey, how are you doing today?
Hey, Christian.
Hey, so you had a very competitive match against Asuka at the February pay-per-view event. Maybe you can talk about the experience working with great talent like Asuka, and what was it like stepping into the ring with her? Was it like a career highlight so far for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've never faced anybody like Asuka. You know, she's such a different woman. You know, coming from the Japanese world, like the strong style, she's got her own strength, and getting in there, she's so relentless and resilient, and knocking her down is hard. You know, she doesn't stay down for very long. So it was a really cool experience, you know, and then especially in the crowd in front of Las Vegas at the Elimination Chamber, they were so invested in the match. It was pretty cool.
And there is a great new episode of 24 called Empowered on the WWE Network now. Maybe you can share the experience with us, how the backstage mood was like when the first Women's Royal Rumble happened in January.
Oh, you know, personally, I had butterflies the entire weekend, and I was extremely excited the day when we got to see what women from the past were coming to join us in the Rumble match when we were rehearsing. You know, all of us were, you know, all the women were honored, and then especially all, you know, seeing some of the veterans come in and like teach us some things, you know, like I got to hang out with Beth Phoenix in the back and get a lot of advice from her. Like that was just, it's unheard of. And it was such a surreal feeling for everybody. And it was cool, you know, like when Lita came back, and I know Becky and Sasha got to work with her, and they were just over the moon to work with her. And then when Trish, I mean, I got to work with Trish, and I literally almost like lost it because I was just blown away that I was able to do anything with her, and let alone such a big spot towards the end of the match. Like, it was cool.
And of course, Ronda was introduced that night. Was it also, I guess, a big surprise for all the other women? And can you recall how the atmosphere and the mood was like when Ronda came out at the end of the Royal Rumble event?
You know, it was such an amazing like feat that women accomplished. Like just having the first ever Women's Royal Rumble, and then Asuka winning it, and then having the option to, you know, fight for the Raw or the SmackDown Women's title. When Ronda came out, it was definitely cool. It took away a little bit from Asuka's celebration, but to see the fact that we just completely, like, it was a whole nother like accomplishment, bringing in one of the world's top female athletes to the WWE. Like, it was just, there was a lot of emotions that night, and it was pretty cool.
So I just looked it up. It was like in 2007 at WrestleMania 23 when there was a last singles female match on the card, which was a three-minute match with Melina and Ashley. Of course, times have changed now quite a bit.
Melina and Ashley, yes.
Yeah. And it was a lumberjack match. But times have changed, and I would guess that The Rock is very much interested in seeing you compete at the biggest stage of them all, probably, of course, your career highlight before. Do you think The Rock will be there in person, or will he be watching on the WWE Network?
You know, it's hard to tie that man down. He is all over the world all the time. I know he definitely will be there in spirit with me. I'm not quite sure if he'll be there in person. He has already told me how proud and excited he is with me, so I know that he'll be watching very closely to see who wins that match.
All right, will be very exciting. So enjoy the next couple of weeks, and thank you.
Thank you, Christian. We'll
Thank you so much.
We'll move over to Kevin in Germany.
Hello, Nia. How are you doing?
Wie geht's, Kevin?
I want to take up the question from Neil going into the storylines, and especially the storylines with the women. I want to know how much of an input do you have on the storylines? I don't know the situation in the writers' room, but I guess there are not very many females sitting there and getting what women would like to see in a storyline. So how much input does the women's roster have on storylines for you especially?
Actually, we do have a female writer on our in the office that works with us very closely, and so she knows exactly what we go through. So it's really easy to work with her, and she's amazing. So, she has been one to help me a lot with this storyline in particular. But I feel like everybody has somewhat of like an influence on our situation, because I feel like my personal life has become the influence of this storyline that we're in right now. So we had, we all have pretty good input on it.
Okay, cool. So the mix match challenge, oh my God, is going on.
Yeah,
and,
I know it's a tongue twister. I hate saying it too.
Yeah, I guess so. And how about intergender matches for you? I mean, you are a strong woman, and we had many women who went against men, like China, and the biggest Royal Rumble is upon the horizon. And how would you think, or how would you like to compete in that Royal Rumble match someday with the men?
Oh, wow. I mean, it'd be amazing. To be fair, I feel like women we're blazing our own trail, right now, that I haven't really thought about an intergender match. Hasn't really crossed my mind. Yes, I definitely think I could, and I'm strong enough to get in the ring with some of these men. But I also think that what we're doing right now as women and creating our own path, that we don't want any, we don't want to kind of mix it up right now with the guys. Time will tell if that happens, and I'm sure that a lot of the women on the roster will definitely be more than capable. And if by chance we do have to step in the ring with some men at Royal Rumble, a lot of guys are going over that top row.
So. I guess so. If it wasn't for NXT and your NXT experience and getting to the Performance Center and looking at where you are now, if you look back, would you think that without the NXT program you would have went the professional wrestling route, or would you think you would do something else right now?
Well, before I got into NXT, I was actually trying to get into wrestling try to get into training at wrestling in Orlando as well. So I definitely think that, I was definitely going towards a professional wrestling career. But yes, NXT catapulted that times 10, being able to work directly with the WWE trainers, knowing exactly what the WWE likes, and literally just learning from the experts has helped, launch the career.
And my last question is, at this point, what would you say are your biggest strengths, but also your biggest weaknesses?
I think my strength and weakness kind of coincide with each other. My strength is my confidence in wearing my heart on my sleeve, which is also a weakness, because wearing your heart on your sleeve is something that people can take advantage of, as you could see with, Alexa Bliss and how she took advantage of me wearing my heart on my sleeve with her being my best friend and opening up to her. She'd use it against me now. So it's definitely, goes both ways.
I wish you all the best. Stay healthy and good luck at WrestleMania.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. We'll move over to Sabrine with Vox.
Yes, hello, Nia. How are you?
Hi, Sabrine. Good, how are you?
I'm great. This is the first WWE interview I'm having, so I'm having a blast right now to be with you.
Girl. Get it.
You're all about body positivity. We've seen it on Solo Divas in an episode where you did a runway. But don't you think storylines like the one you're having right now with Alexa Bliss and Mickie James could maybe influence bullies?
You know what? I definitely think that people might think that. I think that's something that is a question that are oh my gosh, this isn't right. But I also think it's really good for young girls and boys to see this happen. they should be able to watch, like this stuff happens in real life. And at the end of the day, people are going to be bullied, and some kids need to see others stand up for themselves. Like I'm going in here, and trust me, Alexa might be beating me down, but I'm going to stand up for myself. I'm going to overcome this. And young boys and girls need to see that. So yeah, it could be controversial that, this whole bullying thing, but it's real life. And sometimes you need to show real life, and people need to see like how to overcome it.
Okay, and going back to the intergender subject, Ronda Rousey has attacked Triple H several times now, and they may go face-to-face again at WrestleMania. What are your thoughts on that?
About Ronda beating the crap out of Triple H?
Yes.
I think it'll be good. I mean, in her situation, she feels like she's being used, and that she came over here because this is her long dream since she was a kid. And if she finds out that she's being used by Triple H and she wants to get payback, I think she should. And she's a true legitimized badass. So I would be scared if I was Hunter.
And like we said, you've been a part of the first female Royal Rumble, but are you disappointed that you weren't a part of the male Royal Rumble, like girls like China, Beth Phoenix, and Karma did?
Those women, like, I would have loved to have been a part of it, but I was probably more honored to be a part of the first ever women's Royal Rumble. Like I said, we're blazing a trail of our own, and if the time comes to where paths cross with the men and we have intergender matches like that, that'd be cool, and I definitely think we'll all be prepared for it. But right now, we're doing such a good job just blazing our own trail that I don't think we're even worried about the rest of that.
And if you could face one male wrestler, past or present, who would it be?
Face one male wrestler, past or present? I don't know. Like I said, I'm just such a huge fan of Bam Bam Bigelow. I would love to have faced him, probably just to learn some things from him.
And maybe The Rock? No?
Please, The Rock, I would beat him up anyway, so he wouldn't even, I'd whip his butt so easily. It wouldn't even be a challenge. I whip his butt regularly in our family games, so he knows that he would stand no chance in the ring with me.
And last question. Right now with the Women's Revolution, we are noticing tons of changes with matches that were only done by men in the past. Do you think we'll ever get a female WWE champion?
A female WWE champion. You know what I like about what we're doing right now in the WWE is that we're honoring all kinds of athletes, right? So, to be fair, like, yes, there's a men's, and then there's a women's, and then we have the cruiserweights, and then we have the tags. I feel like the fact that we're able to open up that to so many different aspects is great. It'd be amazing that, one day we have one female WWE champion, but at the end of the day, I think it's better that we have multiple champions and showing the diversity that our entire roster has.
Thanks. We're gonna move.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks. We're gonna move over to Chris. We're gonna move over to Chris in Canada. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Nia, how you doing?
What up, Chris?
We just recently spoke to Alexa at Sportsnet here.
Yeah.
She gave us some cool info going into your matchup at WrestleMania. I just want to know, for you, going from WrestleMania 33 to 34, going from a fatal four-way to a singles match, what have the differences been in this lead up to WrestleMania for you compared to last year?
Well, last year I was still so fairly new to the roster. Like, I was just literally got brought up onto the road not long before WrestleMania. So when I was put into that match, it was very quick and last second, and it was still an honor and it was amazing. But now, I've been on the road for a little bit, and ever since Alexa came over from SmackDown to Raw, we've been inseparable. So now that we have a singles match together on the grandest stage of them all, there's a lot more nerves going into this one. I mean, nerves are normal in a WrestleMania match, but definitely think now it's heightened for sure.
How do you counteract those nerves? Like, is there anything that you do to try and prepare differently when you have nerves like that?
No, because I'm the kind of person that strives off of anxiety and nerves when it comes to big shows. Like, ever since I playing sports as a kid, like, anytime it got down to, like, the last second of the game and somebody needed the ball in their hands, I was always the one that took on that responsibility. And so I have no problem with being nervous. Like, I actually strive on that kind of energy.
The LeBron James of wrestling, you're option number one.
There you go.
I was also wondering, on a card that's so big, like WrestleMania, and you have two singles matches for women's championships, what do you have to do to stand out on the card and to make your match more noteworthy than others?
Well, I feel like the story between Alexa and I, pretty much stands out above the rest right now, in the sense that, like, we have a hard-hitting storyline going on that millions of people relate to. So I think people are excited to see how that conflict gets resolved. And also the fact that, I'm 6 foot, almost 300 pounds, and she's barely 5 feet, 100 pounds soaking wet. So that alone is quite different from anybody that we have right now on the card. So I think that, the storyline, our size difference, I'm not too worried about standing out on this card. We're definitely going to put on a good show for everybody.
Oh, yeah, I don't doubt it. Have you guys thought about, or have you thought about specifically, actually, what it would be like for you to capture the championship, the Raw Women's Championship, and really the feelings that would go into that? I mean, have you envisioned yourself holding that belt in that WrestleMania moment?
Yes, of course. I believe everybody, like, has the thought. I really can't put into words what it would be like if I were to get the women's title at WrestleMania. I feel like I'm the kind of person, like, emotions kind of come over me in the moment. So, I could tell you I'm going to feel this way, but it'd be completely different once that actually happens, as you can see, if you've watched the last few weeks of Raw, I'm an emotional being. So, whenever, I react to what happens to me in the moment.
You've really let your emotions fly these past few weeks, like you said. Where do you see the Nia Jax character going in the future? We've really seen you shine recently. Where else can you go from here?
It's cool because I'm actually showing, like, a different side of me. I feel like when I first got here, it was all, I'm the monster, I don't say anything, I come in and I just wreck shop. And now people are actually saying, like, oh, Nia Jax has, like, she has depth, she has emotion, like, she's not, just somebody, like, just a blank slate. And I feel like Nia Jax has so much range, and I definitely have so much more to show. Ever since the storyline with Alexa came about, it just, I didn't realize that I was actually going to get that emotional, but it was pretty cool. So I couldn't even tell you because, like I said, in the moment when I'm put into things, like, it's just what comes out of me.
Nia, best of luck on WrestleMania, and I just really wish the best for your future, and I hope that you can channel your inner Bam Bam and maybe do a flying headbutt off the top rope or something.
Oh my gosh, you never know. You better watch out. I might just do that.
I guess so. Good luck, Nia.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris. Clinton, are you on the line? Clinton in South Africa, are you there? Maybe we didn't get him.
Scared.
Is there anybody that I missed? Nope. Nia, the only question that I had that... Oh, who's that? Go ahead.
Hi, Nia. Greetings from Chile.
Oh, there we go.
What
ask you, given that she's involved in your storyline, how much have you learned from Mickie James in and outside the ring?
Oh, a lot. She's such a like a vast source of knowledge for us, and I learn a lot from her every time I get to work her. So it's an honor.